Hey guys, what is up? I am Rosie, and I just want to talk about the movie that I grew up with, that a lot of people grew up with, The Color Purple. And I'm not going to only talk about the movie, I also want to talk about the book. The Color Purple is a movie, I think it was by Steven Spielberg, and it came out in 1985. I don't remember seeing it until 87 or 88, so I was 11 or 12 when I first saw it. My dad picked me up on a Sunday and he took me to my grandma's house. She wasn't there, she might have been at church or at work. And my Aunt Samela was there and some other people were there. I don't remember who all were there. But we sat around and watched this long movie. It was glorious from the first scene to the very last. And to this very day, I love that movie. If I ever lose it, I always buy it again. I've had it on VHS. I've got 2 DVDs of it. I love this movie. And so it was the first time that I ever saw Whoopi Goldberg, and I think it was her first on-screen appearance, as far as I know. The story I heard was that she had a one-woman show. She had read the book by Alice Walker, and she wanted the part of Celie. Alice Walker went to one of those shows, and she wanted Whoopi Goldberg to play Celie, so it was mutual. And oh gosh, Whoopi Goldberg just did so well. It was like she did so well in this movie that when I saw all of her other movies after that were comedies, I was kind of surprised, but it was my start of my love for Whoopi Goldberg. I love that woman. I love her movies. I love her personality. I love how honest she is. I love how she doesn't back down from what she means to say, and she's just going to say it whether you like it or not. And it's like, if you don't like it, boo-hoo for you. So, yeah, I just love Whoopi Goldberg and her character and her acting ability. I mean, it's so hard to put into words how I feel about her in that part, but it was like nobody else could have done it as well as she did. And then you have Celie, who was basically treated like a house slave, a maid or sex slave. You know, she just was unloved except for by her sister Nettie. Her sister Nettie just adored her, and they just adored each other. And it was so sad that because Nettie didn't want to be raped by Celie's husband, who she didn't want to marry anyway, you know, she gets taken away from her sister, gets run off. And that part of the movie always breaks my heart. And then you see this whole sphere of what happened, this whole sphere of how Celie was just mistreated by by Albert, and how she was ultimately mistreated and then embraced by Shug Avery. How she was kind of ignored by Sophia, but soon that grew into a love, and just, it was just so realistic to me, because it was a period film and it happened in the early 1900s, from I think 1915 to then sometime in the 1930s or something like that. I can't really remember. I have to watch the movie again. But at one time, I watched the movie so much till I knew almost every line. And my friends and not so friends at school used to always talk about it, and I got to where I could mimic Ray Don Chong when she's like, Harpo, who this woman? I can't do it as well now because my voice isn't as high, but I could do that so well. I mean, my friends used to use me as sort of entertainment. I was always a shy kid, not looking for attention, but if they wanted me to do something that they knew I could do, I'd do it. I'd sing, I'd imitate people because I've always been a good mimic. So that's just me. But anyway, yeah, I just everything that happened in the movie, from Celie being forced into marriage to an older man who already has children and doesn't love anybody but Shug Avery, to Sophia getting beat up by the white people because of talking back to the mayor. It was like, or the mayor's wife rather. It was like, Sophia, why did you do that? Why? Oh my gosh. Because, oh man, I think she beat up the mayor and she cussed out his wife. And then she was surrounded by all the white people in the town until she was pistol whooped and knocked out in front of her 2 children. And then she was taken away from him in 8 years in her aging process. In 8 years' time, from this young, vibrant, tough woman to this gray-haired, limping old lady. It was just so sad. And then you got to see Celie gain some strength, even though she was abused and hurt and beaten for not being Shug Avery. And then you had Shug, who was this juke joint singer, blues singer, who went for what she wanted, and she knew who and what she wanted, and she didn't care what nobody thought about it. But she was estranged from her father, and that was her lifelong pain. She was just seen as a tramp by certain people because, I mean, the book exposes so much more, but we'll get into that in a minute. But yeah, she just went for what she wanted, and she didn't care what nobody thought. And she was in love with Albert, but she saw him as weak. Albert, he had a wife who had children for him, and it's not explained in the movie what happened to her, but like I said, it's in the book. We'll get into that in a minute. He just wanted a wife to look after his children and take care of his house. His house was shambles. It was rat infested. It was dirty, dusty, looked like it had never been cleaned. And then Celie, with her little 15-year-old self, I think she was 15, got in there and she cleaned that place up. I mean, it looked like a sparkling new house when she got done with it. And then she was expected to do her quote unquote wifely duties, but she didn't like it. There's Harpo, whose first appearance on screen was as a little boy, grew up into a man that looked exactly like the little boy somehow, but he threw a big rock and hit Celie in the head and she bled, and that was her introduction to married life. And it was just like, wow, this whole movie was just a trip. There was Squeak, played by Rae Dawn Chong, and she was Harpo's woman. They weren't married, they were just like dating, but that was his woman, even though he was still married to Sophia, played by Oprah Winfrey. And that was my first time ever seeing her, even though I think she was a Chicago newswoman before she did that. And then surprisingly, after The Color Purple, she has this long-running television show and becomes one of the nation's, if not the nation's, richest person in America or something like that. I mean, she's a billionaire. Like, what? You go, girl. So this is part of my childhood, something that I cherish to this day and just love. And I bought the movie again like 2 years ago, a year or two ago, when I was able to, when I had the money. And then I was like, well, if the movie's this good, how is the book? So went on eBay, found the book, and I have 2 copies of it with 2 different covers. And I read it from cover to cover, and it was just so good, but it was also so sad. And this was one of the saddest books I think I've ever read in my entire life. The way it is written, it's like somebody writing their prayers in a diary, because it starts off, "Dear God," and then Celie questions her faith, questions if there even is a God, so she starts writing, "Dear Nettie." And it's like she's writing all of her experiences in this book, and then Nettie also has her perspectives in the book. Not as many as Celie's, of course, but they're still there. And she tells about her life in Africa. And she tells about how she is helping the preacher and his wife take care of Celie's children, Adam and Olivia. And she went to England, she went to Africa, and it was like a lot of what the movie left out is exposed in the book. Like I said before, Albert's first wife, she died because as he was cheating on her, she was also cheating on him. And her boyfriend got angry at her one night and killed her. I forgot how. I can't remember if she was shot, if she was beaten to death. I can't remember, but he killed her. He killed her boyfriend. And what happened to Celie's mom? I think she died from cancer or something. I can't remember exactly what killed Celie and Nettie's mom, but their stepdad never told them that they were left money, the house, and the store. Why? Well, because he decided to use all of that stuff for himself. He was living off of the money, off of the inheritance that came all the way from their real dad, and he just kept it for himself and was just living a life of black luxury back then. And what happened to their dad? Well, he was lynched. He owned a store in town. The white people didn't like that, so they lynched him. And I mean, just like I said, a lot of what the movie left out is exposed in the book, and it was one of the saddest things that I've ever read. I mean, I don't want to give too much away if you haven't read it, but I think I said this on my other computer, but I still don't have that computer back, so that's why I'm recording this now. But it has one of the saddest masturbation scenes I have ever read in my life. Like, I read that and it just broke my heart. It made me want to cry. I just wanted to bawl my eyes out, but I had to swallow my tears back and just keep reading. But it just shows the genius of Alice Walker, that you can take something that's supposed to be a turn on, that's supposed to be sexy, and spin it to make it just gut-wrenching, heartbreaking, and sad. That is pure genius, because I don't think I know how to do that, and I'm a writer myself. But the book was just so enriching and so fulfilling, and it opened my eyes to a lot of what was actually going on in the movie. It's like I could refer back to the book and be like, oh, so that's what, okay. and it just exposes so much more. So if you have seen the movie but haven't read the book, I suggest you get the book. It will just bring so much more into focus, as books often do, and it will open your eyes to a lot of what was going on and a lot of what was going on behind the scenes, and it won't be such a mystery. If you have read the book but haven't seen the movie, I suggest you watch the movie because the visuals are astounding. They're beautiful, they're realistic, and it just helps you to see everything in a much more oh gosh, what's the word I'm looking for? It just brings into focus a lot of what I think Alice Walker wanted to bring through in her writing. Because I mean, you can get the visuals pretty much in the book, but to see it come to life on film is almost magical. I haven't seen the play. I don't think I want to see the play, even though I heard that Fantasia did a good job when she played the part of Celie, but it's just not me. I'm just not a play type of person. If I were to watch any play, it would be Hamilton, but that's a whole nother story for a whole nother time. But anyway, yeah, that's my take on The Color Purple, the movie, and the book. I think you should have both because it lends different perspectives on the same story, and it just helps you to open your eyes to how Black people may have lived in those times, and it opens your eyes to just how different things were back then from how they are now. So I'm going to end it right there. Please tell me your thoughts and opinions. Please share, like, and subscribe if you would like to. I would appreciate it. And I definitely thank you guys for wasting time with me. Love you very, very much. And I hope to see y'all on the next upload. Bye for now.